Hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to my stream and yet another video. This will be part 3, working on Tamiya's big old dump truck. Let's get started, shall we? So we have a whole plethora of parts on my desk here, okay? And I've been figuring out these aluminum pieces that are the custom ones that do not come in the kit. As we saw in part 2, we got these black pieces that are I call them A-arms, but they're control arms for the suspension, for your wheels. They go on there. Obviously, I have taken them off again as I try to figure out just exactly how these aluminum ones go on and get assembled in comparison to the ones that come in the kit. So even though, like, my whole intention was to show you guys how this kit goes together, so all your parts out of the boxes is how it assembles, but as you can tell by the thumbnail at the beginning of the video, this is a custom build, which is where all these blue aluminum parts come into play. You guys might notice I have this part here sitting on my desk. This actually did go on the front here. This was here, right? Bingo. And if you remember, I had this blue plate on there first, and then this thing screwed in like that, okay? Looking through my aluminum parts kit, I realized there's a different piece that goes on here and not this blue plate. Instead of the blue plate, I have these. Okay, these allow for adjustable positions on the shock absorbers. Okay, if I grab one of these here, the shock absorber is going to mount in one of these many little holes, and you can adjust the angle of it depending on what you want. Okay, so they give you lots of little positions there, but we have a problem. It actually goes on in that spot instead of this blue plate. Okay, like that. Okay, instead of this blue plate, you got this blue plate. Okay, and it's going to go in there. Okay, but we have these things sticking out. But I'll change the camera and I'll show you here so you can see a little bit better. Okay, let's change the camera here. Okay, looking at it like this, okay, I had the blue plate, and then this guy here goes on like that, right over top of it, okay? But I have my shock absorber piece. This is going to go on instead, but there's these sticking out. What the heck are these for? Because this is designed to be to go on there and mount flush, and yet these are sticking out. So I looked in the instructions. What exactly mounts on these? Because maybe there's some piece that actually has to bolt onto this side. See if I get this at the right angle here. There, maybe something bolts on here onto these four, because there's two on this side too, right? And of course this is where the one would go on the back for your rear suspension. But yeah, we have a problem here. These things sticking out. So I looked in the instructions. Let's look in the instructions, okay? Look through the whole book. Well, look at here. This is where they would be. They're not even drawn in the diagrams. Nothing drawn there. Okay. Let's continue on. There's the other side. No pegs drawn there. None here. Now we're mounting our suspension, and there's no pegs sticking out. Same with the rear. Nothing drawn. And go all the way through, and yeah, we get to control arms, even mounting our wheelie bar on the back. Again, no pegs sticking out here. Nothing drawn here at all. So they even show, oh, the Toyota Land Cruiser body. And still, there's no pegs sticking out the front here. So what the heck? They show a completed diagram over here where you're putting on your tires, and no pegs sticking out. Nothing at all. So, and that's it, right? And even in the color photo, there's no pegs sticking out. There's nothing here. So that obviously, what that tells me is at some point Tamiya has offered this with a different kit, a different body of some sort that actually does use these, and so now they have them molded on all of them. If I look at my yellow chassis, let's take a look at the yellow one. I'll just go grab that here. This is the chassis that actually came in the kit. And there we go. We've got the same 4 things sticking out on the front and 2 on the rear. So I can take my Dremel and just buzz those off nice and level and not have to worry about those. So that's what I will do. I'm not going to do it now. It's 20 to 8 in the morning. So I don't want to wake everybody up with a bunch of dremeling, getting those down flush. So I'm not going to do that right now. So I'm going to just leave this aside. I'm going to work on, you guys saw me put these arms on last time, being right there, right, and right there, and then they go on with this guy here, this U that goes in there. You saw that last time, right? Part 2, got that on, and then they go like this, ding ding ding, right? But we're not using these. Right? These are going to be spares. I might even take them apart just so I've got the spare screws. I have this, okay? This is going to go on in place of it instead. Very similar thing. Now this is kind of already done and ready to go on. So on the other side, I'll show you what we need to do, okay? So putting this one aside, we have this. Now I already assembled this little buckle. Remember last time I was trying to find my turnbuckles? Well, I found the turnbuckles. This guy here. And then all you do is you thread these guys on each side. One is left tighten, the other's right tighten, so you can adjust the length on them. But in the little instructions it shows you how long you're supposed to build them, so that's what I've done. Okay? And I've already assembled that on here. You have a little knuckle that goes on. This piece is just one of these. One of these guys right here. Okay, it's a little ball with a socket. I put a little bit of blue Loctite on there, put it in the end, and then I pop that on there like that. Okay, that's all that is. We need to put a mount for our shock absorber. It's going to go on here. You take one of these, you take one of these ball ends. This has no threads in it. There are 2 other ones that come in this kit that do have threads, but you want the ones without because you want this to just slide through like this. And then we want a little spacer like that. And then we're just going to thread that in here. Now just put this hand tight for now, just so that it's there, because we're not mounting the shocks yet. I'll put some blue Loctite onto this and tighten it up good when it comes time to actually mount my shocks. Okay, what we do need out of the kit though, put this over here, it's back where it belongs. Okay, so we need a few parts out of our little bucket here. We need some bushings. These guys, we need 2 of these, so I gotta find the other one. We need a step. There's another bushing and another step. Okay, and then we need 2 of these screws. Okay, now one thing I did find, it should go through there, but this is a really tight screw. I don't know why this screw is so tight. It's like they just didn't quite mold that step properly. It's super tight for some reason. Same with this one. So that's not a big deal, but it is going to be a bit of a problem when it comes to putting it through. The other ones, they went through fine, but this one for some reason is not very happy. So I'm going to thread it onto it as much as I can. It's so tight, I don't know why. Just a flaw in the molding or something, I don't know. Get it in there. See, it's tight. I don't know why it's so tight, but it shouldn't be. Okay. There we go. It's in there. We'll deal with that in a moment. Okay. We need to put the bushings in the bottom here. Not through this side, but through this side. From the inside they go in. You get them lined up right, they should just press in. It's a little bit tricky to get them straight. So once you get it, it goes. But that, of course, is the key. It's getting it straight. There we go. And that's in there. Okay. Do that for this side. Same thing. I suppose you could put a little bit of grease on there if it's really fighting you. This one really wants to go in crooked, so there we go. Okay, that's in. Now, I'm going to grab this guy. Now, I've already put the bearing in the front and in the rear like I'm supposed to. Okay, so there's actually two bearings, one in this side, one in there. Okay. Take this guy, keeping in mind which way it's going to go on the truck. With your curve here, this is going to be the front, so you want to have this facing the back, and it's going to go in. Get this lined up nicely. It goes in right like that. Okay, like that. And then this is going to go in there. So, but I want this with a little bit of Loctite on there. Get my holes lined up. And get that in. I'm just going to kind of do it finger tight, just so I don't have any wobbliness. Okay. And then we'll get this one, the bottom one in. This bottom one I think is going to give me some trouble because of how tight the little bushing is on the screw itself. Maybe it won't give me any trouble, maybe it will. Okay. I'm going to do just about as tight as I can. And there we go. Okay, and that's that. So this is ready to be installed now. Okay, now the kit does come with a couple of rods that you could use, or you can use the Tamiya factory one, and if you use the Tamiya one, you have to put these little spacers on it. Okay, because when you compare the thickness, where this is going to mount on the car, this is much thicker, right? And so you need that spacer in there to take up that space here on the front. The rear doesn't matter, but you need the spacer on the front. Okay, so let's put them on. Now that they're assembled, and I finished my coffee, let's put them on. So, doing them the same way as the other ones. Put that on there. And hopefully it stays and doesn't fall off. Ah, I just dropped my two spacers. Hopefully I can find them both again.
Eventually.
Okay, so we got those again. So we'll put them back on here and here. Grab our chassis again. That there. And that there. And this time we'll be a little more mindful. There we go. Now we just line up our holes. One side's going in. You gotta go in too. There we go, we're in. Just like that. Now you see it kind of wants to go in further, and then these are sitting out. So I'm not sure exactly how we're going to cure that. Because it's supposed to sit that far out. Okay. Now the other thing we have is this here. Okay, this is another little screw with a socket on it. These are the ones that are threaded, and that's what these are going to go on to as our upper arms. Remember our old upper arms, these guys here? Right, those went up in there. Right, but we're not using these now. We're going to use these. And so that's going to go on there like this. Okay, but I'm not quite ready for them yet because we got no drive shafts in there. So now that this is on, we're going to take a look at that. Okay. Woo! Yeah, dangly doos. Okay. So those are on. So let's just put these aside and refer back to our original instructions. This is where we were last time. We did this part up here, right? So we have this part now. That's these parts we've already done, right? So I need to put in these little drive shafts. I put the bearings in. I got to put these ball sockets on the end. MB8, which is here, which is going to be not in this one, so it's going to be in not in that one. Might be in parts bag B. Looks like it here. So we have these guys. Need 2 of those. Okay. And we need MB8. That's 5mm ball sockets. It looks like it's going to be this guy. Where is MB8? Right here. Ball connector. And that's exactly what that is. So we need 2 of those. There we go. Okay, let's put that over here. Now, going into the plastic pieces, that would not be a problem. I don't care about any kind of Loctite. But now they're going into aluminum, way over here on the left. They're going into the aluminum piece, and so I do want to put Loctite on them now. And this is where the Tamiya tool comes in handy. Tamiya's little wrench, okay, because it fits that hex nut on there perfectly. Okay, so this has to go on the bottom of the steering. If you imagine the steering, this is sitting like this. It needs to go on the bottom because you're going to have a rod that's going to go right through into the center here. So this has to go on the bottom here, like this. Okay, it's tightened up. Now, let's tighten that on there. It does get really tight, so I don't think the Loctite was really that necessary, but just better be safe than sorry, right? And so I'll do the other side too. Let's turn this around. Okay. Loctite on the threads. And again on the bottom. Up. Change my position here so I can grab it. There we go. Okay, that's those. Now these guys, they get to go in right through here. Just like that. Now there is a pin that's going to go through there. We'll worry about that later. That comes later on. Okay. Now for now, do they want grease? They do want grease on these. Okay. So let's get this greased up first. Where do they want the grease? They want the grease right through here where it's going to be on the bearing. So even though it is going on a bearing and not a bushing, I don't think it's going to hurt to put the grease in. Unfortunately, this is in a spot where, you know, some people would say don't put grease because this is going to be exposed to dirt and dust and stuff like that. And so some people would say don't put the grease because the grease is just going to attract the dirt and the dust and it's going to stay there. Right? So it's up to you really. And if that is a problem, then next time don't put grease. Next time, now we've got our little drive shafts. There's 1 and 2. Okay, we're doing this side first, so let's put them aside here. Again, they want grease on the drive shaft, just on the ball ends, because the ball ends are going to go in here, right? And that's going to be a friction point, right? As your suspension goes up and down and this is spinning and stuff like that. So they want a little bit of grease on the ends. Again, this is one of those things where you might get dirt in there and stuff like that. This is all exposed to the elements. So yeah. So now this goes up in here like this, and get it lined up. There we go. And now our ball end is going to go on here. And you're going to need a good pair of pliers to snap that on, like that. And we've got our one side in, and you can turn it, just like that. Okay, so let's do the same on this side. First of all, we'll grab our little shaft here. A little bit of grease in there. And we'll put him through here like this. Okay. Grab our shaft. Again with a little bit of grease, just on the ends. Okay. Tip this up. Put it in there. And then bring this up like that. Kind of line it up a little bit easier. Go. We are lined up. Our ball end here. Sorry if my hands are in the way and you can't really see, but I'm the one doing this, so I need to see. Got it on there. Grab my pliers. should snap on, but I'm not right-handed, so I'm having a bit of a challenge here. Get that on there. Come on. There we go. She's on. Okay. Now we have to our front suspension. Just like that. Now, like I said before, my front diff does seem very, very tight. Just trying something here. My front diff does feel very, very tight. And so I'm not sure. I might wind up having to take 3/4 of this thing apart and see why my diff is so tight, because I'm not getting any differential movement here at all. Right? It's super tight. I cannot hold it by hand. And that's not right. I should be able to spin. It does spin. I hold it mechanically like this. I got movement. So it's not locked, but it is a little strange that it's that tight, especially for a front diff. The front diff should be really loose, but chances are it will loosen up as it gets used. Okay, so then we have this piece here. This is going to hold our front bar in place. It's going to hold this down so this won't fall out, right? So we have this little piece that's going to go on the bottom here. This looks like I've accidentally hit my mouse. But we don't have this piece on yet because I got to grind all this away, right? We got to get rid of this part, right? So we're just going to skip this for now, and we'll revisit this piece later on, okay? So let's have a look at the next page. Flip this over, and it looks like we're doing the same thing but on the back, okay? So we're doing all of this same stuff but on the rear, which means I get to figure out how to assemble the rear ones. So let's put this aside because I have the rear suspension arms. This is the 3 and the 4, left and right. 3 and the 4, of course, is just what Racing calls them. The kit I bought comes with both front and rear. Okay, so that's these guys. We got bearings that are going to go in those. We already got those. Already know that. So there's 4 bearings. One like that. And then one like that. There we go. And like that. Okay. Let's see what we got here. A bunch of similar stuff to what comes with the fronts. So having already done the fronts, I kind of already know that's the fronts, that's the front. Okay, these ones are for the rear, so we got that already. So I just need to find the actual rear ones. Right here. Okay. This one shows you how to do the turnbuckles. That's these. So I need the ball joint, which is not here, which is right in here. So I need 2 of these. Bing and bang. Looking at it in this direction, this is going to go here, like that. Okay, so a little bit of Loctite. This is where things get a little bit different than the Tamiya ball joints, because we have, instead of using the Tamiya tool on a hex, these have an Allen key head in the middle, in the center of them. And so that's how these get tightened down. There we go. That's one. And two. Okay, that's those, and that's it for this instruction. So all this does is show you how to do the knuckles and for the bulkhead, and put that up there, okay, and how to put these on. So these pieces are available separately, and that's why they show them like this. You get multiple sheets because you bought the kit, and the kit includes all their different ones, and so they include all the different instructions rather than one big instruction sheet. Now they show the bottom here. They even show you the shaft here and the nut that goes on, that they already have installed for you, right? So you don't have to worry about that. We need to assemble our shock mount at the bottom, which is going to go here, which is going to be one of these nuts and one of these sockets here. Bingo. And they're showing two spacers. 1, 2, like this. On the fronts there's only one spacer. So again, I'm just doing this hand tight like this, okay? And so do the same again. This and this, and two spacers. And then there we go. Okay, so we have these. Now in theory what's going to happen is this is going to go through like this, and then one of these small little screws goes in there to keep it from sliding in and out. And it looks like we've got them on each end, which is why they give us 4. So it makes me tempted to put a screw in here already, just like this side has. Right, this side has the screws in. This screw doesn't look like it's tight. Now these are tiny little screws, so I need my smaller Phillips screwdriver. Let's go with this guy. Yeah, that's loose. Wow. Why do they do that? And because that's loose, I need to... Oh, this one's loose too. I'm going to have to check all of my screws on these to see and make sure they're tight. So there's a lesson learned. Don't just trust it right out of the box that everything is tight. Because you might be in for a surprise when, after running your car for 10 minutes, it falls apart on you. And you wind up missing a very important screw and axle shaft and maybe more, right? Especially these custom things. Like Tamiya might give you some spare parts, some spare screws and stuff, so that in the event you lose one of them, you actually have a spare. But not necessarily with these guys. So I want to make sure these are tight in there. with Loctite, and that they're never going to fall out on me. So I'm going to put one in here because the shaft is going to go through this way. But before I do that, it says here that oh, I'm sorry, that was the other one. That was the front. The front shows that it's I want to see how Tamiya. See, Tamiya uses this big long screw, and it goes through. So unlike the front where you have that big U-shaped thing, on the back you have these long screws, and they want you to grease them. But we don't need to use these because we have these, right? So I need to put these in on this side first. See, now when I put the shaft through, I put it through here like this, it won't go any further. It's going to hit the head of that screw. See? Like that. So that'll help me out. So, now, these are loose. So again, I need to tighten these. Loctite on these. This is that tedious stuff that other YouTubers don't really show you guys. They show you their perfect, flawless assemblies where they don't make any mistakes, and you never see anything go wrong. And they seem like they're just the perfect, best hobbyists in the world, and never accidentally put the wrong piece on it somewhere, or put a left on a right, or upside down. I'm here to show you all the mistakes. I don't mind. Because I want to show you guys, even if you make a mistake, this is how you fix it. Right? This is how I fix my mistakes. Okay, so with that done, we're going to refer to the instructions again. These are assembled now, okay, except for these, okay. So I'm going to put this on now, okay. This, that, and do the same on this one. Okay, now of course the way these go onto the actual chassis, that's where these come into play. Okay, so we're going to take a look at how that's going to mount onto the actual chassis here. So we've got to find the instructions that actually show those pieces. And that's this one. Okay, so what we have is these step screws. We need a threaded ball socket, which is this. And I should have another one. Yep, right here. And then a little spacer. And that spacer is these little guys here. Okay. So let's grab our truck. And that's going to go here and here. Okay. Just like on the front, same thing. It goes in the same spot here. It's going to go here and here. So I actually got different size spacers, and that could be why. See, I used a fatter spacer on the front here, and I actually need to use a skinnier one. Okay. So let's see if I can undo these and change that spacer out. And I have to try and grab this. Change this spacer out. Lost an axle. This is where doing custom stuff can be a bit of a challenge. My spacer has been pressed onto the screw so the screw won't come out. So I gotta try and get in there and pry it off. Got pressed onto the step part of the screw. So there it is. See, I used that totally wrong spacer. It's supposed to be this little, almost looks like a shim. Okay, let's get this back assembled here. Drive shaft back in here. This guy back onto here. Drive shaft, come on. There we go. Alright, now it's a bit of a challenge getting in there. This has got a little hex on the and there we're tight. And so now our little arm here is not as, well, now it's a little tight. That's too tight. So let's back that off. Should be. There we go. There we go. Nice and loose. Everything should be loose, right? So now if you can tell, maybe you can on the camera, you can see this arm here is not as, let's see, this arm is not on such a weird angle backwards like this, right? It's not like doink, it's more straight, right? Where this one, because of that big fat spacer, is not at the right angle. So let's see how hard this side's going to be to take apart. It's spinning also. Let's turn it around. Move these out of the way. sometimes just getting at it is the challenge, right? There we go. Okay, this one, of course, this spacer didn't get locked onto the screw, so this spacer is willing to come off. There we go. So let's grab that thin one, put it back in. Drive shaft came out again. This line back up. Now let's grab that again. And there we go. Okay, done. Now that I got the proper spacers in the front, now we can finally go back to our rear and continue on this, okay? Which means I'm going to need 2 more spacers. There's this one, okay? So this is going to go in here like that, and then we're going to do a spacer. Spacer right there. Okay. Now I do want a little bit of Loctite. That. And I'll put that on. I'm going to turn this around. So that get this, like that. There we go. There we go. Okay, and certain spots on the truck, obviously not on this one. There we go. It's tight. This side. I'm going to put the Loctite on first. Put it through. Grab another spacer. That on there. And again, turn this around just because I'm that handed. And then that threaded in there. Make sure this is snug. There we go. Okay, so those are on. Now, going back to original parts, or kit parts, we need our our drive shafts that are going to go inside. We need these ones. I'm going to put these in here. Need these, and we're going to need these. Okay. Now these are the pins I was talking about that would go through here, like this, right? But we're not going to be using these. Okay. So we know that these need some grease on here and on the teeth. Liberal amounts of grease on here. You don't need tons, but you don't want to cheap out either. Put those right through, just like that. Okay. Sure, I'll just hold it like this with my belly. Grease in there. This through, like that. And see, my rear diff is great. My front diff is really stiff for some reason. I don't know why. Chances are I'll be taking the whole thing apart to try and figure out why it's so stiff. Okay, so this is going to go on here like that. And you see why I wanted to put that screw in here first is because it's going back here, and once this is installed I cannot get at that screw because of this big thing for the gears. I can't even get at that screw. It's not accessible. Okay, so then we're going to take this and we're going to slide that through. Get it lined up. And it goes all the way in. And then we can put our little tiny screw in. Get this threaded in. Come on. There we go. Here's a screwdriver. Where'd my screwdriver go? And it's tight. Alright. Suspension's on. Okay. Now, take this one. Put our pin in. Just like that. Now this side would let me get access to the screw because I don't have this big gear here, right? But still. A little bit of Loctite. There we go. Oops, not that one. And she's tight. Okay. There we go. So, we got those in. Now, we can deal with these. Just like on the front. A little bit of grease on here. You don't want to put any grease out here. This is where the wheel is going to be going, and you don't want that. That's going to go in here like this. And then we get our axle. Oh, you know what I've forgotten? I didn't put the O-rings in there. Like, remember the O-rings I put in on the front? I didn't put them in there. I've got two more O-rings. One right here, one right here. They got to go in here. Okay. And I will use a non-greased shaft to shove that down in there. Of course, it didn't go properly. There. I don't think it matters whether you use the actual drive shaft. This drive shaft can help push it down into where it needs to go, but it doesn't. Doesn't really need to. if you're like me and you get it in there in a funny position, a little flathead screwdriver helps to kind of push it down into a place where it needs to go first. There we go. Okay, now where's my... Oh, I even had a bearing fall out, and my cup fell out. So which one fell? This one did. Okay. Put this bearing back in. Put this bearing back in. Come on. Really? There we go. Put our shaft back in, which was the one I greased. It's this one. What is going on here? Okay. Get our greased drive shaft, or sorry, axle, put in, and then this guy put on. Grab the pliers, snap, there you go, and we have the rear put on one side. Okay, that's one side. Now let's work on this side. Grease this one up. Go through here. Grab this. And there. This like that. Hold it like that for now. Pliers. I said hold it like that for now. Pliers gotta get in there. So this is where you got some challenge. Done. And we've got this one in. So there's our rear. Bingy, 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 bingy. Just like that. And our front's in. Woohoo! Yeah. Okay. So, that is that. Alright, guys. So, that being said, that's where I'm going to leave it for now. Okay, I might wind up having to take all of this apart on the front again to see what's going on. I'm going to have to Dremel all of these parts off. Okay, get rid of all these nubs sticking out there so I can put my plate on the front and get that done. Because these two here that are sticking up, these get that plate that mounts on the front here that's going to hold our little bar in. It's going to hold the bar and keep the bar from sliding out like this and then eventually falling off, right? We don't want that. We want to prevent this from moving like this, right? At the same time, we've got our spacers there that we need to make sure so that this thing doesn't get pushed too far in. As you can see what happens to the spacers there, they get kind of jammed. And we don't want that either, right? So we want to find that happy medium where everything's going to sit nice and cooperate and everybody's going to get along and be happy and not complain and argue with each other and fight all the time. And yeah, we don't want any of that stuff, right? So this is where I'm going to leave it for now, guys. And we're going to continue on this next time. Next time you see this, these will be ground off of there, and I'll probably have my blue aluminum one mounted on there in place where it's supposed to be. Yeah, so I want to thank you guys for watching. Thanks for coming out, and hit that like button down below if you like this stuff. Leave a comment if you feel like. Down in the description box there's going to be some links to my other online things, such as my Instagram and my Twitch channel. With my Twitch channel you can watch me live, you can talk to me live while I'm doing this stuff. On my Instagram you're going to see a whole bunch of still pictures of all the models and things that I've built in the past. Every time I finish a build I take a few pictures of it and I throw it onto my Instagram, so you guys can take a look at those if you feel like. Down over here you're going to see a subscribe button, and it would be really appreciated if you hit that subscribe button. About 80% of you guys who watch my videos are not subscribed, so just do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, eh? Like, come on. Anyway, that's going to be it for now for today, guys, and we'll see you all in the next one.